to the second part of Rule of the Waves Asia. Day 2. These are the knockout rounds, and we have loser bracket 3.1. CR Oni versus Steer Superior. We've seen these players over the last 2 days. This is going to be a tough match either way. So let's pause this while we wait for the teams to ready up. Alright, so we're about to get underway. No changes from CR Oni from when we last saw them. This time they're facing Steer Superior. Let's see how this one works out. Two cruisers of Oni up against a battle group of a BB, a cruiser, and that Grafspay, played by Wax Liver. Interesting name. The Gallant on Oni's team will go cap A, and it looks like Steer are abandoning A for all intents and purposes. Not really interested. They want to take C and B and hold the enemy where they can. The Fuso starting to take fire from the Pensacola and the Molotov. He doesn't mind that as long as he gets a chance to repay that favor. And I believe the Molotov will not want to take a hit. Ooh, some nasty looking torps from that little Gallant. The Pensacola has a brown pants moment and takes a beating from the Fuso. I think that was the wrong target choice by the Fuso. He should have prioritized the Molotov, because that's a ship that will take a lot more damage. But the team have called Fuso, have called Pensacola, so that's what the entire team is targeting. Good target focus. Now C-Cap is abandoned, and I'd love to see Alex make his way into C, but do it narrow so he can keep his guns in action, and he can possibly bait the enemy team into coming back to defend the cap. Gallant now sneaking B cap. Even if he doesn't take it, he wants to deny it to the enemy. The Tikra goes down, and I fear that the Pensacola might follow suit at any point. Fushun in there to defend against the Trento. Is that really a wise option? Now, Sukhoi Su-84 is taking a terrific beating from the Pensacola and the Fuso. The Fuso has lost HP, he's under fire himself, and he's trying to escape. Currently, Steer control all three caps and have built up a huge points lead. That can all change in a heartbeat. Those torps look good. Will they find their mark against the Graf Spee. They do. Causes a flood. He controls it. Meanwhile, the Trento is in all sorts of trouble here against the Fushun. He might just get gunned down by a Fushun. Not the first time we've seen it, but certainly I always find it funny. There you go. Yossi in the Pencer, he's trying to fight the enemy Pencer when he should actually be focusing on the Molotov. I think Steer have taken this one courtesy of their control of the caps and better target prioritization. Sukhoi takes down the Pencer, and I think next salvo the Fuso will go down as well. He recovers some health. But he's the last ship left standing on the green team, and I don't think there's anything he can do at this point. Let's pause till we start our second match. Okay, we see a change up from the previous one where now actually we don't see any changes here. Both teams running the same combination as the previous match. This time the Icarus and the Fusion will again make themselves push themselves into the center, and that's exactly what I wanted from Wux. I want him to flank and use his guns against enemy cruisers. Those enemy cruisers are not interested in fighting a Graf Spee, because I don't think any cruiser can stand up to him. That's why they're making their way into center cap, but Wux can utilize his range if he puts his mind to it. He chooses not to. Instead, again, they're focusing down the wrong ship, I feel. Now Steer focus firing the Trento, while Oni are still getting into position. The Fuso starting his flanking maneuver. What he's unaware of is the fact that the Fushun is hunting him. Fushun breaks concealment and stops the Fuso from pushing forward. Launches those torps. Waits for the Fuso to start reversing before he launches those torps, and those torps look good. They will find the mark, one or two at least, and good torp evasion from Fuso, but he's taken a brutal amount of beating in order to survive those torps. Now the Fushun takes a beating of his own. He's getting hit, and he's getting hit hard by Nürnberg. Switches fire to the Molotov momentarily. But what I like from Steer is the fact that they are prioritizing cap control. So Alex Gray has taken a lot of damage. He hasn't dealt much damage in return. He hasn't had the opportunity to go up against the Fuso or the Fushun or any of the cruisers, the lighter cruisers. So now's the opportunity for Crow to put their ships into the cap and try to hold the cap at least, but they're playing far too defensive. Meanwhile, the Fuso keeps on getting focused and keeps getting pushed back more and more and more. From this sort of range, his guns won't have much of an effect. Brace yourself in the Pensa, making himself terrifically hard to kill. But Luca dodges that line of torps from 4429, and Alex Gray finally goes down. I think this is a bridge too far for Oni to cross. They've fought valiantly, but I think we are about to see them get eliminated. There's just simply no recovering from this. The auto secondaries of the Graf Spee taking care of the Nürnberg, and he avoids those torpedoes, takes one, doesn't cause a flood, nothing the matter, and Fuso will now take some shots, goes down to Changretta in the Repulse. Ooh, the Repulse nearly paid with his life. He still might. Not that it matters in the long run though. So now it's just the Icarus left, and he has a minute to take out 3 ships. I don't think the best of Icarus players can do that. Nil to steer. They move on to the next round, and we say goodbye to a valiant Crow Oni. Okay, so we resume with loser bracket 4.1. We have two very strong teams up against each other, and this is the exact moment where my internet goes down yet again. Sorry about that, guys. Let me pause and figure out how to correct this issue. Okay, so it's worked out on its own, thankfully. We see Steer abandoning A cap and focusing on B and C. Meanwhile, Lubia will take A unopposed. He has a cruiser Hydra with him for support. Now Hydra will not get into cap, or once he sees that there's nothing opposing him, he might choose this shortcut and move here. Steer take B and will also take C. The Admiral Makarov there faces a Repulse and a Graf Spee, and that's not a fight that he would ever want to take on. Uh, Incoming fire to the Fuso and some torpedoes as well. Those torps look pretty decent. Some of them might catch him. Causes a flood. He's taking a beating there, but makes it out. Now the Fuso fires a salvo at the Molotov. Let's see if he finds the mark. Falls short. Nothing. Now Lubia is out hunting. He wants to take on the Molotov, or he has a choice of getting into B cap and getting into the fight. Meanwhile, Hydra will fight this Molotov, preferably at close range. Let's see how that works out. Molotov giving full broadside to the Fuso. Let's see if the Fuso can take advantage of this. If he can, then the Trento will have an easier time. Now the Fusion is caught between an Icarus and a Nuremberg. Not a position the Fusion wants. He doesn't even have torps that can hit the Icarus. But he does have a Pensacola giving him backup. Fushun is very, very lucky to make it out relatively unharmed. That's just poor shooting from that Nuremberg. Let's see if he can get his next salvo to do any better. That adventure by Lubia didn't pay off at all. They didn't even take B cap. Meanwhile, the Molotov is in low health and is being pursued by Hydra. I'd love to see Hydra switch over to AP. I think he can make more of a difference with the AP rounds. Maybe he's running Samsonite with APCS plus, with SAP plus, and that's why he's so insistent on using the SAP rounds. Anyway, he takes out the Molotov. That's his big job done. Now he can disengage, possibly heal up a little bit, and drag that Pensacola out of the fight. Now the Graf Spee is defending that cap and trying to take on that Nuremberg, but he's taking some fire from the Fuso. They just don't let up on the Fuso, huh? More torpedoes incoming, and the Fuso will take a few. He takes 4, loses his rudder and takes a flood, sorts it out, but he can punish the Graf Spee here. Poor salvo by the Fuso, and railgun goes down. Nice work by Changreta. He has his HP, and he's the biggest gun in this game now. He can make short work of the Makarov and the Nuremberg. As predicted, the Graf Spee goes down. The red team have the ship advantage, but the green team have a slight points lead. Let's see if that points lead is enough. Lubia now on the wrong side of the repulse, or from his perspective the right side of the repulse. He can charge the repulse, and perhaps, or he might choose to charge the Pensacola and end his game once and for all. Meanwhile, this Trento is up against the Fusion. Remember, this Fusion took down a Trento in the last match, and he might fancy his chances. Not anymore though. A Makarov and a Fushun. The Fushun goes down. I think we can give this game to the red team, who've played really well and have taken the points lead, the caps, and a ship lead. Nicely done. Trento Hydra taking the MVP there. His push on the Molotov was critical. Not just in terms of killing the Molotov, but also in distracting the enemy and dragging them away from the fight. Alright, let's pause while we get ready for the next match. Okay, so we see a change of sides, and by change of sides I mean Team B requested as home team that they would like to switch over to A side. Now green becomes red and red becomes green from the previous match.
Gefechtsstation.
So, sky in green and steer in red. Sky sends a cruiser, the Makarov, into C. He wants to cap C and might be prevented by the presence of the Molotov, which can put its guns to use and take down a lighter armored cruiser like the Makarov. Meanwhile, B cap is being taken by Rev in the Fushun, and he comes up against the Icarus. Let's see if this time the Icarus can make a difference and can take out the Fushun quickly. If he does, this match will only have one conclusion, and that is that Sky will win. One torp taken by the Fushun causes a flood. He controls it immediately, and the next wave of torps comes in. He might take one from this one as well. Yes, he does. Still, he's at 50% health and chasing down that Icarus. He will be wishing for some cruiser support, but no help incoming. He fires 2 racks of torps at the Nuremberg. The Nuremberg will take no torpedoes, excellent torp evasion, and first blood goes to Sky. Now Sky have control of one cap, and they are desperately pushing on that Molotov. If they take him down, then that Makarov can go into C cap unopposed, and just basically this match will be done and dusted there and then. Makarov takes down the Molotov, and now he can make his way into that cap, take that cap, and then set up crossfires. The Graf Spee is the next target under fire. The Makarov won't care much about his own HP because the Graf Spee is such low health that Oh, and there's another ship loss. The Pensacola goes down. I think we can call this match for Sky. They've outplayed the opposition brilliantly and very, very efficiently. Good target fire, takes down the Graf Spee, and now that Repulse Luca has an impossible task ahead of him. Not even 4 minutes gone, and we've already called this match. That Icarus will fire torpedoes. Nothing the Repulse can do about it, and I'm not sure he wants to do anything about it. Done and dusted. Nicely played by Sky. Alright, we're underway. This is our first match of, I believe, loser bracket. Essentially, the loser bracket semi-final, and we've seen these two teams face off against each other before. So Sky had the advantage last time, they won, but let's see if Pront can come back from their previous drubbing and can actually win this. So, two DDs contesting the center cap. Sky takes control of early control of both the outer rings, and they've sent, as is their usual, two cruisers out on the flank. Pront are pulling off a flanking move. That Molotov will distract the cruisers while the Trento starts working over the enemy Trento. That torpedo, he might just, oh, he avoids it just in time, but Sky's adventure pays a heavy toll, and look at the position of this Pront player, all the way at the edge of the map. If you see this in randoms, you report this player for being a noob, and his name is Retired Noob, but right now he's doing the perfect flanking maneuver, turning in now to keep his guns on target and get back into the cap and hold the cap. Meanwhile, Pront have also taken control of the center cap and are now working over the Fuso. Those torps just run out of steam, but Anya will be resetting and will get more torps in no time. Sky is switching priority and starting to work on the Nürnberg, or rather the Fuso. What they want to do is take out the biggest gun in the game for the enemy, and for that Anya has launched torpedoes which look good. The Fuso might end up taking 3 or 4 of these, possibly more. Just 2 taken. The Trento takes a little bit of punishment, but no real bother. He's more concerned with helping his team take down the Fuso. Meanwhile, that enemy Trento Hydra, I don't know how the hell he's managed to lose all that HP. Probably got into a fight with this Nuremberg. But the attention here, folks, is all on the the Fuso. While everybody is trying to help out the Fuso, the other cruisers take a massive beating, and that Nuremberg might be the first ship to go down. This Molotov is being clever. He's using this island to shield himself from the Fuso while he uses his range to hunt down any cruisers that he can. Lubia getting back into the fight. He takes a terrific salvo. We see that Nuremberg go down to the Molotov as predicted. The Makarov goes down to Forger. Interesting. And now Lubia will probably die in the next salvo to the Trento. And now comes Hydra. He goes down to the DD. And this match is done and dusted. Very efficiently played by Pront. They get some semblance of revenge over that brutal kicking they had earlier. Alright, folks. Pront can book themselves a ticket to the loser bracket final if they win this. If they don't, this match goes into overtime, but let's see. Some changes from the previous match. Retired Noob, who was playing the Trento, has switched over to a Nuremberg. Meanwhile, we don't see any changes on Sky's team. They have faith in their chosen lineup. Perhaps we see one change. But another change is that Uritan has switched over to an Admiral Makarov, and they've brought in a Fuso of their own. So let's see how this Nuremberg versus Trento fight goes. Nuremberg has the spotting advantage, but the Trento has the guns to really punish Nuremberg. He loses his front turret, and most of his guns are at the back anyway. Noob just backing out. He doesn't want to take this engagement. Now he puts his rear guns into action. Will he take that torpedo though? No, he doesn't. Nice torp evasion. Now the Fushun gets into a gunfight with an Icarus. He launches denial torps towards the Nuremberg, but what that does is that he spends too much time, and now he's in a desperate race to maneuver himself and avoid any torps. Manages to do that successfully, but at what cost? Lubia now has control of B cap, and there isn't much anyone can do about it at this point in time. Meanwhile, Railgun in the Fuso going up against a Makarov and a Trento. He's choosing to focus the Trento, misses the salvo completely. With his rear guns, he targets the Makarov and overshoots. So an entire salvo is wasted. He's caught out in the flank. He would more prefer to be here somewhere where he actually has a bigger chance of putting his guns to effect. Meanwhile, that Trento and that Nürnberg are engaged in a titanic duel. Uh, the Nürnberg doesn't want to engage in a fair fight, but I feel at this point he has to, and he's trying to kite away, make himself as narrow a target as possible. He has most of his guns at the back, so that's where his advantage lies. He can just reverse and keep hitting the Trento. Who has to maneuver very awkwardly at the map edge. Alright, we'll come back to these two in a bit. Let's go and check out what that Trento is doing up there. Facing down a Nürnberg and a Fuso and dragging their attention. Meanwhile, the Makarov takes on his German counterpart, the Nürnberg. Doesn't do much of a damage. This is a tight KG battle. Sky have everything to lose, and they need to push. They only have one cap, and that's where the advantage lies with Pront. They can just sit back and let Sky make the first move and possibly make some mistakes. Okay, so Sky finally taking over C cap. That Trento has lost a lot of HP, but he has managed to push out the Nürnberg. Let's see if the Nürnberg will turn in, engage the Trento again. This might actually be the end of both of these ships. The Nürnberg does get some backup though. Makarov Uritan is coming in to cap and to take on the Trento. B cap being held by Pront, and they have a Fuso out on guard duty fighting against Railgun, and Railgun starts taking damage. They're so close that Sprint is even able to use his secondaries. I bet he was wishing he had a German battleship at this point. Ooh, that's a solid salvo on Newbie, and he will go down. I feel tight KG battle, not much in it. The first kill of the match is with only 30 seconds to go, and I think that puts Pront in a position where it's hard for them to lose. Now Sky have to do desperate things in order to try to win, and that's where they will keep losing more ships. The scoreline is 677 to 282, but it's not reflective of how tight this match was. Well played from both teams. Pront progresses. Thank you, Sky, for your participation. Apologies, folks. It appears that this is a best of 5, so Sky do have an opportunity to mount a comeback. Again, Golden Channel, which seems to be the bane of my existence. Over the last 4 days, I've gotten sick of this map. Let's see. We might see some interesting pushes. Fushun makes his way to the center. He's facing the Icarus, Lubia, uh, but the Fushun has two brilliant cruisers for backup. What I like is that the Makarov is trying to pull a flanking maneuver. He wants to get around here somewhere, possibly, and get behind the enemy. Let's see how that works out for them. The prawn player launches some torpedoes that are designed to push the Makarov a little bit outside. If he doesn't, he will take them. So, and it looks like he's backed into one of these torpedoes. Meanwhile, the Fuso opens, Sky Fuso opens up on the prompt one, and we see an identical flanking maneuver from Sky here in the Trento. That's funny, folks. That is really fun. So, Lubia not interested in the cap at the moment. His purposes are better served outside, but he sees the Nuremberg, so decides the better of that engagement. Also, it allows Sky to take the cap for the first time in this game and start building up some points. Now that these two ships are busy, Lubia will smoke up and start firing those torpedoes into the Fuso, who is stationary, so he might eat all of these. Lubia anticipated that the Fuso would reverse. He didn't, so he's missed 3, but still a lot of damage done to him. Lubia loses his life in return, gunned down by the Fushun. That leaves only one DD in play, and that is on the Prawn's team. Meanwhile, this Trento has a chance to do something interesting. Now, Anya Forger, feeling adventurous, wants to take on both the Nuremberg and the Fuso, thinks the better of it, reverses, because that Fuso is certainly going to go down. No need to risk your life to take down a target that is already dead. Just doesn't know it. Railgun though goes. So, Sky have no answers at the moment. They're all over the place and they're being pressed from every side. This Makarov, his push actually paid off, and they have the enemy Makarov surrounded. He's going to go down any second. Meanwhile, this Trento Hydra is trying to put up a fight of sorts, but can't do much. Sazu, poor guy in a Nuremberg, caught in a awkward position, can't do much either. So Sky have no answers to Prompt, and Prompt will take this for a 3-0 unassailable lead. Efficient play. Well done and good game prompt. My apologies, folks. I seem to have messed up. That was the loser bracket final. Front have made their way to the grand final now and will face a team that I haven't seen before. I haven't seen in this competition. I have never streamed them, but from the looks of it, Shikansen, Harley Quinn, Crown, these are all brilliant, brilliant players. So this will be a tough, tough match. This will be interesting. Let's raise the brightness just a little bit, and we should be good to go.
Alle Mann auf Gefechtsstation!
Okay, so this is the grand final. This is the two best teams in Asia, CDA versus Prompt. Two big names, big reputations. Let's see who comes out on top. Harley Quinn, famously good TD player in the Icarus, making his way towards A cap, where he will be fighting Fushin. Anya Forger. Holly taking a flanking position, doesn't want to break concealment at the moment, and Pian and the Prince Eitel Friedrich also making his way forward. The Icarus pushes out the Fushun, who avoids those torps beautifully, doesn't panic, gets back into the cap and blocks the capture progress. Meanwhile, the other DD, Shikasen, has taken over C cap but is being pushed out by the Nürnberg and the presence of the Makarov. So Shikasen has abandoned C. Let's see if the Nürnberg figures it out and gets into cap. Yes, he does. Starts taking over C cap while A rests with Prompt, courtesy of Anya Foger. Has given us all a lesson in how to play Fushun aggressively and safely. Retired noob in the trend 2, being stuck here, fighting CHT Holly, but not really able to put his speed to use, and his progress has been blocked. Meanwhile, Forger with a set of torpedoes that Pian will avoid mostly, might take one. No, he doesn't. There was a convenient Prince-Eitel shaped hole in those torps that he took use of. It's tough, cagey battle, guys. Both of these teams, especially CDA, favoring positioning over control of the caps, at least at the outside. What they want is to figure out who to target, get into position, and then overwhelm the enemy. But Prompt are experienced players. They know what the game plan should be, and they are taking active steps to avoid that. The Prince Eitel being pushed back, and those torps were spotted by Hardy. The idol won't take any, but he's now in an inconvenient position. I'd like to see this Nuremberg possibly, you know, try to go dark and sandwich this Fusion. Of course, whoever goes after the Fusion will also have to deal with a very angry Prince Eitel who is being focused down mercilessly. The Makarov decided that focusing the Prince Eitel is a better use of his time. Possibly he is correct, and if they can bring down this Prince Eitel, it'll be a huge nail in the coffin of CDA. The Eitel goes down, and now the Trento can take control of B, and Shikasan will have a torrid time with a Makarov breathing down his neck and a Trento right up his nose. Trento takes him out. So, folks, this match, I think we can give it to Pront. They've come back really strongly, and you know, obviously they were in the loser bracket, so they have lost earlier, but wow, what a match we're watching. CDA seem to have no answers. And everything that you know they had wanted to do never really paid off. They wanted to get into flanking positions and then set up crossfires, but Pront figured out that game plan and put paid to it. Credit goes to this guy Forger, who played the Fusion beautifully, kept himself safe, and was never afraid to get into a fight, but knows how to survive. Now the Pensacola will go down shortly, if not in this salvo, then the next one. So there really are no answers for CDA at the moment. Harley, with a desperate torp rush, might land a few torps, takes down the Trento, survives, but what is done is done. Excellent work. I would have given the MVP to someone else, but okay. What is important is Pront have a 1-0 lead in this 5-match grand final. Alright, let's go. Round 2 of the grand final for Ruler of the Waves.
Gefechtsstation.
We see Crown switching over to a Galissoniere. Interesting choice of ships. I think he wants to run the flanks. I don't know. It's not really a ship that I would trust in this situation. Sorry about that. Forger taking a cap and will be generally unopposed. He does have a Makarov coming in, but Forger will be backed up by his own Makarov, and the real interesting fight will be here between the Pensacola and the Prince Eitel versus the Trento and that Fuso. Some torpedoes taken by the Fushun. Harley Quinn making his presence known. Uh, First, he took the cap and then he managed to torp a Fushun that is concealed. Both these ships don't exactly know where each other is. They're both unspotted, but they both know that the other ship is there. Ollie taking some fire, and now it's the turn of the Trento to face some of the punishment because the Galicineer is also backing up the play, the aggressive play of the Prince Eitel, who is charging into cap, taking that cap. So for the moment, two caps being held by CDA. Not a lot in this though. I feel as if in this tight KG battle, First Blood, ooh, those are some terrific looking torps. The Nuremberg might end up taking a fair few of these. Loses his engine, he has to repair and get out of there quickly. A panicked salvo falls short, doesn't achieve anything, and that Nuremberg has taken a terrific amount of punishment. Now the Molotov opens up on the Galicineer, mostly misses that salvo, but now he has a better target, the Icarus. Switches back over to the Galicineer. He's not doing much to the Galicineer. I think that prioritizing Icarus would be a much better use of his time. Ooh, those torps meant for the Fushun were dangerous. Fushun figures it out, avoids them, but now he has to give broadside to a Pensacola, which might lead to some uncomfortable moments. Dumping his torps, hoping for a Hail Mary parse. Should have launched these torps here somewhere where they might actually have a chance of hitting something. Now CDA trying to make a push and a play on A, but that is being guarded by a prompt player in the Nuremberg. So, ooh, terrific salvo there though from the Makarov, and I think CDA have sensed that this Makarov is the guy they need to take down. They've rightly called for some focus fire on him. He should go down shortly, and that allows the Makarov to push his way into A cap and take it, and then turn his attention to the prompt Makarov, who is sitting in B cap. Ooh, the Eitel Friedrich also goes down. This is again a tight battle between two evenly matched teams. Just a minute and 30 seconds left. The next kill, I think, will win it. And I think, I don't want to play favorites here, but I think that CDA have an excellent chance of mounting a fight back. They've regained control of two of the caps. They've knocked out the enemy battleship and two cruisers now. So it's back to 3-3 in terms of ships. This is close, folks. This is very close. 50 seconds to go. CDA have complete control of two caps, and now they've knocked out another enemy ship. I think we can give this match to CDA. Crown should just keep running now. There's no need to fight anyone. Let that cap fall if it must, but keep going. And so should Harley. He doesn't want to risk this. Just disengage, run away, waste time. You don't need this. You already have it. Come on, Harley. Don't be stupid. Trento goes down though, and CDA had this in the bag. Very, very even fight from two solidly matched teams. Okay, round 3 of this heavyweight duel between the two best teams in Asia for the title of Ruler of the Waves champion
Alle Mann auf Gefechtsstation!
for Asia server. This is best of 5 and this is round 3. Currently the scores are tied 1-1. Harley switching over to the Aviaire, which recently has become my favorite DD to play. I don't know if it's a tournament ship. Certainly Harley can make it work, but it is one of the most fun ships I've played at any tier. Jeez, that thing is fast. He's taken B, and I think he wants to make a suicide rush towards. He's taken C. He wants to make a suicide rush towards B at some point and possibly hurt that Fuso badly. Anya takes B and has to face Crown in the Galissoniere, who gets spotted and immediately gets focused. Is lucky to avoid that incoming salvo from the Fuso. That would have ended his game there and then. Now we're seeing fireworks all over the place. This match has lit up. Both these teams have figured out the enemy positions. They know where each ship is, and they are going to town on each other. Okie dokie, so prompt controlling prompt controlling B and A cap, while CDA have control over C. Now we see Harley taking some fire, and that's the problem with the Aviaire. It's fast, it can do a lot, but it also takes full pens from nearly everything. Prince Eitel has probably switched on his sonar. He knows those torps are there. He doesn't care much about them. He'll take a couple, but he values pushing out that Makarov more than a couple of torpedoes. Now reversing, he's going to regenerate some health and possibly go dark. Let's take a moment to see what Harley sees and where he's going. The Galissonier and Harley working together to take B for the first time in this match. CDA have to work hard because they have a points disadvantage at the moment. Torps aim towards the Makarov. Even if they don't hit, they will still persuade the Makarov to not get into this gap for the minute, and that's what Harley wants. Now Harley can engage that Fushun in a gunfight and back up that Pensacola, whose life expectancy isn't too good at the moment. Let's switch over and see the Fushun and how he's faring. If you pay attention to the Prince Eitel, he's not looking too healthy, and that's where CDA have given up an advantage. Losing two quick ships, Pront will take this round because they've got more ships and now they have control of two caps. The Admiral Makarov, though, he goes down as well for CDA. At this point, this is pretty much done and dusted. 2-0, 2-1 to Pront at this point. So Pront take this match. They kill all the enemy ships without losing any, and they have a 2-1 lead. Let's see if they can win the championship in the next round. Alright folks, welcome back, and this is our fourth match in the best of 5. Pront have a 2-1 lead going into this, and they have the chance to seal their title, the title of Ruler of the Waves champion, if they win this. Pront in the green and CDA in red. Let's see how this works out. You'll notice that Harley has switched back to the Icarus. His Xavier plan didn't work out too well for him. retired noob taking his favored position of running a flank. Uh, they have control of A, and perhaps noob can focus that Fushun, hit him with a salvo, and knock him out. Salvo falls short. Meanwhile, the Fuso on Prawn's team will make his way towards B and take a central position somewhere here or here and try to fight that Molotov. If that Molotov doesn't disengage, he dies. That's the other big change that we see from the previous match. The Galissonier, played by Crown, has been switched over to a Molotov, a much better ship with more range and heavier AP shells. That was a good salvo on the Prince Eitel, by the Prince Eitel on the Nürnberg, who is trying his best to disengage, but he's being hunted. Makarov helps him out by launching some torpedoes to push back the Eitel. Let's see if the Eitel chooses to take those torpedoes and keep moving forward, puts his guns on the Nürnberg. Between the Pensa and the Eitel, they have enough firepower to corner both of these ships and knock them out. The only trouble is that this Nürnberg will face some fire from the Fuso, who's eager to get into this fight, but he's been pinned back by the presence of Harley here. I was just waiting for the Fuso to commit so he can launch some torpedoes. But the Anya Forger pushes him out. Harley runs, and now the Eitel is in a duel with the Makarov. The Nürnberg is trying to escape, but he'll be pinned back. Oh, Fuso prioritizes the Pensa and wants to take him out because he knows that the Pensa will dodge those torpedoes but will die to that Fuso's incoming salvo. So CDA lose control of all three caps, and they also have lost a ship. The cap at sea will be uncontested because the Nürnberg on CDA's team also went down to a salvo by the Prince Eitel, and he will come back into cap. This Makarov needs to disengage. He should actually start reversing. Ooh, Shikasin takes down a Trento, and suddenly things are not looking too comfortable for CDA. For Prompt, sorry. Terrific fight back from CDA here. The Fuso is in trouble. He's facing some torpedoes and is facing some incoming fire as well. So it seems like we might get a fifth match here. Hopefully we do. This has been fun watching this. Okay, so some incoming fire towards the Prince Eitel. Fuso doesn't give a damn about torpedoes or anything at this point. He just wants to knock down the Fuso as quickly as possible. Harley gets into a gunfight with Anya, which he will most certainly win. Doesn't need to. Prince Eitel takes him out with his secondaries, but he goes down in return. 435 to 488. Team B, which is CDA, take this and tie it. This match is going down to the wire 2-2. Alright, boys and girls, this is our final match in the grand final. Both these teams have shown that they are no pushovers. It is 2-all, and let's do this. So, an unchanged team from Pront. What works for them works for them. Some torps fired in fun. Good to see that even in a stressful moment like this, Uritan can have some fun. Meanwhile, one change for CDA, they've switched from a Fuso to a Warspite, and that means that Harley Quinn now has to take a Vasterus and Shikasan in a Jirua. An Icarus clone, but interesting choices. I think these are meant to neutralize the danger of the Fushun, and they will hunt down the Fushun with radar and with those torpedoes and guns. Holly thinks about flanking, but is unsure, and that is basically a trap, because you have a Nuremberg on one side and a Makarov on the other. A Pensacola can't fight off two ships at the same time. But CDA have control of the center cap and the outside cap. They're losing the middle cap, but Shikasan can always think about retreating, or they can throw a couple of ships advancing and take the outside two caps. The Nuremberg takes a bit of punishment on the side. Guns are opening up now. Ships have positioned, and let's see how this goes. The Makarov, using his rapid reload and calling for support, they're targeting this Pensacola. They want to bring him down ASAP. I bet that Pensacola wishes that the Westeros could smoke him up. Unfortunately, nothing doing. Meanwhile, those torpedoes, yep, Pensacola goes down. In the center, we have the duel between Shikasan and Anya. Let's see how this goes out. Harley, who was supposed to be central to work on the Fushun, had to vacate, and now he's caught out of position and left the Jirua with a mountain to climb. Still, 200-point lead for CDA. They're holding on to the center for the minute, and pushing back the Makarov means that they can hold on to it for longer. Not anymore though. The Fuso has crept in and is punishing the Warspite. Meanwhile, the Trento, retired noob, is doing the same thing. They're going to push the Warspite and finish him off. As soon as they do, that's pretty much done and dusted for Prompt. I think Prompt have played well throughout this tournament, and they've planned this one out really well, even though they have now they have control of all three caps, and CDA have no answer. The Makarov will go down, and then it's just Vestros. He can't do much. The final match of this goes to Prompt, who've played really well. They've dominated in the final round. They must be exhausted playing so many matches throughout the day, but I suppose they're operating on pure adrenaline at this point. This becomes a hunt for the Red October. Harley delaying the inevitable as much as possible. Prompt will take this. Some celebratory torps from Anya, targeting the Fushun, targeting the Nürnberg. They all find the mark. I'm guessing these guys are really happy. Chasing that Vestros into the corner. He's been spotted finally, and now they can get to work on him. Do they kill him? Do they just leave him be? What do they do? Forger finishes him off. Extremely well played by Forger throughout this tournament, and Prompt are the new champions of Asia for Rule of the Waves. Congratulations, Prompt. Thank you everybody for watching, and please remember to give me a like and a subscribe.